Hello and welcome back to Butter Neya Time. Today I want to share with you guys some interesting things that I've noticed in going to my yoga studio or a variety of yoga studios for the last few months. It's just like fitness studios are just such a funny place. People, the teachers, the place in general, just so many interesting things happen, and it makes me think so much about like society and just people, and like myself too, included in that. I just love observing people. I love it. It's just so interesting and analyzing like, Anyway, so I just think like fitness studios are like literally one of the best places to observe people, and as a whole, just such an interesting reflection on like society and just people in general. Yeah, you can just see so much about a person's personality at a fitness studio. I'm like, why do we like fitness studio classes? Why are they set up the way they are? Why do some people hate them? Maybe I know why some people hate them. It's not all negative. I think there's just really interesting things. But anyway, I want to tell you guys a story that I thought was really funny. The other night I went out to dinner with a friend. Oh my God. And we were eating tonkatsu, which is like a Japanese curry. It's like a pork cutlet that is, so it's not a Japanese, tonkatsu is not a Japanese curry. Tonkatsu is generally a deep fried pork cutlet or loin. But you can have it with curry. Sorry, I just always eat it with curry, so I associate it with curry. But yeah, anyway, we were eating tonkatsu, and then they served us this dish with a lemon. And so I picked up the lemon and like went to squeeze it on the food. So I like pressed it and I was giving it like a bit of pressure, because sometimes you get those lemons that are like tough, you're like that little like the fiber along that's containing all like the juice, and the inside of the lemon is like a bit firm and thick and stubborn. Anyway, so I was pushing kind of hard to get the juice out. Probably should have stabbed it with a fork first. That helps. It's always a trick. And pressing it. And then suddenly this lemon, I was giving it too much pressure and it slipped out of my finger and it went like boom. I'm not even kidding. Like went like boom to the other table. Like these two guys sitting next to me like hit their like chair, like their little couch, because we were sitting in booths, and then like pinged back to like the side of the other guy's chair, because we were all sitting on tables where like a person was sitting across from the other person. And it happened so fast. I was like, ugh. And then my friend was talking to me at the time. She just kind of kept talking. And then like 2 seconds later was like, wait. And then she was like, wait, what just happened? And I was like, oh my God, the lemon, it just flew. I just applied too much pressure. And then the guys at the same time were like, whoa, what happened? And then we were all just, we were laughing because we're like, oh, it's so embarrassing. It's like, I'm so sorry. I applied too much pressure to that lemon and it just flung over there. And it was like sitting on the floor and I was like, oh, should I pick it up? And then my friend was like, don't pick it up. It's okay. They're like, someone else will like pick it up. And I was like, oh no, I feel so bad. I should pick it up. Anyway, it was very awkward. That's just a classic me in public places, being an idiot. But yeah, the second lemon wedge I pressed and I did it very lightly and the juice came out. Note to self, don't squeeze that lemon too hard. Just always stab it with a fork, especially in social settings. Just always stab it with a fork. Anyway, that was funny and embarrassing and a reflection on me. Okay, so let's get back into this. Why I think like fitness studios are so interesting, and like what I've observed recently. Just like the attendees, the studio itself, the teachers. And I think as a whole, I think it's so interesting because like studios are always trying to give off a vibe, like, we walk into a studio and there's not like some sort of style or tone that they're trying to set. And I think it's so interesting because they're always trying to make you feel a part of something. It's like a cult. You walk in there and like, say you go to Barry's, you step in there and you're like, this is high energy. This is like intense people. And it's just a lot. And let's just be clear, like I don't actually go to fitness classes that often. I usually just go to the gym and do like weights by myself. And I like to be alone gymming and exercising. You know how I've seen these memes that are like, oh, my perfect boyfriend or girlfriend is like, we go to the gym and we go do our own things. That's like me. I don't love working out. Like I don't love working out on weights with other people. I don't mind doing fitness classes with other people, but I don't generally go to fitness classes with other people because I feel like, I don't know, I just like to exercise at different times. Anyway, so when I do go to fitness classes, I feel like I am this person that's, you know, like not a regular, but always feels very overwhelmed by like the nuances of fitness studios and like what to expect. And yeah, I think so. Something I would love is for people to just like write out or like do a little video, and maybe I should start doing this, of like what to expect before you go to Barry's, what to expect before you go to like pure yoga. Because there is, I get like social anxiety going to a fitness studio. And I think it's so funny because I think that fitness studios are supposed to be like a place for you to go work out and feel like free to exercise and chill. And the whole idea of them is, the whole idea of exercising is to like better yourself and do it in like, push yourself to the limit. But I find that when I go to a fitness studio, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I cannot be my whole and full self here because there is just so many things going on. And I think that's such like a mind, like fitness studios everywhere give you this like crazy like mind experience from even the outset of just like on their social media, like somewhere that's like really hyped, like Soul Cycle or XYZ. Like you see people like post about it and you're like, oh my God, I want to be a part of it. Like I need to be trying it. I want to see what it's all about. It just gives you that energy. And I'm a sucker for that. I'm like, oh, like Barry's, like, what is this? It looks really cool. I've heard so much about it. Now I've got to try it. I've got to challenge myself. But then when I'm actually at fitness studios, I never really feel like fully comfortable. Because I feel like people really judge you. And maybe like, I don't feel like I'm judging people. I'm just like observing. Oh, maybe I am. Maybe I should like not be so ignorant to that. Like, I think if you're observing, you're kind of judging. But I don't like give off a vibe to people where I'm like, I'm judging you. But I feel like some people, you go there and they're like, you feel like they're literally saying to you, like, I'm judging you. Interesting that you're doing that. And I'm like, am I not supposed to do that? Am I not supposed to drink water? Am I not supposed to use the towel for this? Am I not supposed to sit there? So yeah, I feel like this lack of playbook for fitness studios really gives me mass anxiety. So I'll give you an example. Like I started going to a new studio recently because I'm doing a trial, and I was going to a smaller yoga studio before that had like maybe 10 or 15 mats, and they were pretty spread out. So when you went in, it's like pretty clear where you can sit wherever, and it's like there's no kind of rules. But then I've gone to this new studio. It's like a lot bigger. There are like mats super close to each other, and the rooms are quite large, and there's no clear like indication of like a stage where the instructor would be. So I went into this room and I was like, oh my God, like I entered and there was like 40 people in there. I was like, okay, one, I didn't know that yoga classes could be this big, but sure. And then there was like no distinctive place of where the yoga teacher should be. And I was like, do I sit here? So anyway, I sat kind of like more to the front because I wanted space. Speaking of space, on a tangent, I don't understand people who like, if there are spaces in a studio of mats, why you guys go and sit next to each other? You're not friends. You don't know each other. So why you want to sit next to each other? Why not give yourself like a space in between? Like I literally have a great distaste for when I sit on a mat and there's one next to me, but there's also like plenty around me, and the person sits in the one right next to me. I'm like, literally, I just look at them. I'm like, are you, why? But they could also look at me and be like, why are you at a fitness studio with other people if you don't like group exercise? And I'm like, well, I do like group exercise. I just don't like you sitting right next to me. Anyway, so back to what I was saying was, so I sat at the front, and then the teacher ended up coming in and like sitting like right next to me. I was like, oh shit, like, whoops, my bad. Probably like sitting too close to the front. But yeah, just like I always, whenever I go to a studio, I always like first have this social anxiety of like, where am I supposed to sit? Like, where's the right place? Like, what's the norm? And maybe that's just me, but I feel like other people feel it too. Like you're just like, I don't know what the protocol is at this place. And it just kind of scares me sometimes. And also recently I've been going into yoga classes, and people like really look at me. Like people often stare at me because I'm kind of tall. But like recently they've looked at me like as if I'm the teacher. They like, I went to this one class and they all looked at me like, I was like, I'm sitting at the front, but I'm not the teacher. Just not got anywhere else to sit. And then I feel like they were sorely disappointed. kind of when they saw me, they're like, "You're our teacher." I'm like, "No." But I'm also like flattered that you think just because I'm tall, I could be your teacher. So yeah, I just feel like it's so confusing going into yoga studios or like fitness studios and knowing what the protocol is. Like, for example, you go to a body pump class and then you go in and people like grab all this equipment and the teacher never tells you like, oh, grab like a 5 kilo, grab this and grab that. It's just like they just go in and everyone grabs their things like, okay. Yeah. But anyway, going back to like the whole like them giving you a vibe and like setting a tone, it's very much so aligned with, especially in Hong Kong, I feel like so much exclusivity, like exclusive sporting clubs, exclusive like drinking clubs, exclusive social clubs. Like I don't get this whole trend, like not a trend, but this like societal norm and people wanting to be like exclusive to things. And it's annoying. It's really annoying because I do think like when it feeds into fitness, it's just the opposite of what like fitness is supposed to serve for you as as individuals. I feel like you're supposed to be in an environment where you're feeling like I can push myself to the limits, best to be the best version of I am without feeling like I am restricted or confined by a certain energy. Do you know what I mean? But I feel that this exclusivity is just pure capitalism, which is sad, but I guess the world's got to go round and people go and make their money. So yeah, if you're out there and you're thinking about starting like a studio, just make it like peaceful, zen and inclusive. Because I just think that there's small things that yoga studios or not, I keep saying yoga studios, but it's because I'm going to one right now, but like just generally studios do to give off an energy. Like love regulars, obviously, because they make them a lot of money, but they love like walking into a class and being like, hi David, how are you today? And like just paying no attention to everyone else. I'm like, okay, well then me as a newbie are just not getting recognized at all out here. But I just think, yeah, there's so many like little things that studios do to like mind you. But yeah, it's really interesting. And it makes me really question like, why as humans do we like this sense of belonging? And why do we let a certain energy make us feel a certain way? And that's even a question for that's literally a question for myself. Like, why do I feel nervous going in that space? I guess it's like it's a product of my insecurities of like not wanting to like do the wrong thing or not really wanting to like impact other people around me and impose on them. But I do think like Alex, my fiance, really would not feel like that. He would just go in and do his own thing. So maybe I just care too much about like being in a social space and not doing something that's like awkward or not right because I don't want to like disrupt the class. I feel like that's the main thing. But maybe I'm just the problem. But I do think that humans are just like social species and we always want to be like surrounded by others and like we feel better when we're part of a community and a vibe and we understand what's going on. So yeah, but I want to share with you guys some really interesting observations I've made attending these classes. You guys are going to be, I feel like it's kind of interesting. I'm just saying. So I went to this one class, a yoga class, and this guy brought his like jewel into the yoga class, like his e-cig. I was like, I saw it and I was like, I hope you're not smoking your vape during the class and you just like left it in your pocket and you're now putting it on the floor, because that is interessante. Imagine if someone just like ripped out their vape during the class and were like, sorry, I'm just in a triangle pose, but let me just hit the vape because I really need to get that juicy flavor in my mouth. So interesting and funny. Yeah, just really, really something. And then what else did I see recently that I thought was really interesting? Oh, well, let's talk about like the types of people that go to classes that I think is really funny and interesting. So you always have this like very flamboyant person who's either like dressed really like flamboyantly or are just really wanting to like show off their skill set, like really like stretching aggressively before like a 75-minute yoga class. I'm like, we're going to stretch and like do yoga for 75 minutes, or like doing headstands at the start of the class, or like really just kind of going above and beyond to show their skill set. I feel like those people are really interesting. And I love those people as well in like cardio fitness classes, because they always they're like the super, I love their energy because they're so into the exercise, like they give it all, and it always motivates me. I always see them, I'm like, got to be on that level. Let's keep going, like push ourselves. But yeah, thanks for those people out there being you. Sometimes it is me, I'm not gonna lie. I always, my favorite person to observe in a class is the regular that knows everyone. This person is like that person that attends 2,000 Barry classes and like literally goes out of the way to make sure they know like every PT person, like knows every part of the business, like, and makes it known in every class that they are a regular. Like they're like, oh, hi Veronica, how are you today? Yeah, I didn't go to yesterday's class. I was a little bit busy, but I love da 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 da. I'm like, we get it. You're a regular. You know everyone. Awesome. It's also those people who like don't really want to be there, but they're there for the social aspect. This is like at my gym, very prevalent. There's this woman who goes to the PT class. She has has a PT, and then she just sits there and like when she does the movements, it's like on a 5 kg, but she's just like moving her arms really fast. And you know, surely everybody has seen this person in the gym where you just know like they're not really even giving it much energy and they're really half-assing it, and you know they're not working a single muscle because they're doing the movement like super fast on a really light weight, but they're just so interesting to observe. But this person is interesting for me because she obviously has the money to like spend on PT, but she doesn't actually utilize it because all she does in her class is talk to her PT. And I'm convinced she has a crush on her PT as well. And also an interesting thing with that dynamic is her and her PT smoke together. What are you guys' thoughts on like that? I think it's so interesting because I feel like it's so contradictory to like what a PT should be for you. But I think it also speaks to what I was saying about how people who go to work out but don't actually want to be there, they're just there for like the social aspect. So they want to be able to say like, oh, I go to a PT class, and I'm like, they want to feel like they are working out. They want to be friends with their PT. So they have a TT that's probably not really serving them very well and smokes with them. But I think also from the PT point of view, I think it's so interesting because I'm like, should you be smoking with your client? Because that's like a teacher smoking with a child, like a student. Do you not think? Like, I feel like you're supposed to be setting an example as a PT and like helping their fitness journey. Like maybe not a teacher with a student, like just say like a doctor. That's like a doctor smoking with a patient. I feel like that's weird. It's like you're supposed to be encouraging and setting like the best example for how to look after yourself and do fitness. And that person specifically is paying you money to improve their like fitness and performance, and you're smoking with them. I just think that's really a no-no. I don't know what you guys' view on that. Maybe you guys separate it and compartmentalize it, but I do not. I think that they affect each other. And I also think, and you guys let me know what you think of this. If you're a PT, let me know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. But I do think if you're a PT and you have a client like this woman who doesn't show up giving her best effort, I think you have a duty to your client to like either say to them, hey, like, you need to push yourself more because I don't feel like you're really achieving goals here, or I'm like really helping you, as opposed to just like, I feel like he's kind of just taking her money and not even trying to improve the situation. It's like a teacher, like a tutor. If you were tutoring somebody in math and they were not improving at all, but you just continue to take their money because it's advantageous for you. I feel like that's the situation. So I feel like he has a duty, if he's a really good PT and he cares about his client, a duty to the client to be like, hey, like, I don't think I'm the right PT for you because XYZ, or if we want this relationship to work better and you get your results, we should do XYZ. Right? But maybe they're just friends and I'm like totally misconstruing their relationship, but I don't feel like that is the case. Okay. And then I love like latecomers, people who come late to studios. And I think it was really interesting. The other day, this lady rocked up late to this yoga class, and the rules are like very strict of like, if you're late, you can't come in. But I've never seen anyone actually tell someone that they can't come in. But this lady was like literally 2 minutes to a yoga class. And the teacher was like super sassy, and she was like, "You're late, you can't come in." And the girl was like, "Oh, but I came from another class, like the other class ran over." And she was like, "I will make an exception now, but you shouldn't do that in the future. Don't book classes back to back. Like only come to one class." And I was like quite taken aback because I felt like it was quite aggressive, but I could see both sides of it. Like I was like, yeah, I think she's protecting like other students in the class from saying, "Hey, you're late." And that's a hard rule. Like if you didn't make it on time, you didn't make it on time. But at the same time, I felt bad for the woman because I was like, it's only 2 minutes. Like it's okay. Just let her like walk in quietly and just pay no attention to her, be less disruptive to the class. But yeah, I felt bad because I feel like if I was in that situation, I'd be like, please. I'd be like crying in the inside, be like, please just let me come in. Don't tell me no. But I guess it was nice of her to let her in. Yeah. I also, talking about fitness studios and like teachers' duty of care to students, I think it's really interesting because I have been to some yoga classes where the teachers just like have no sequence and they're like, okay, just do a headstand. And the class is literally like broken out before and been like, what? And I can do a headstand because I learned it by myself at home, but I think it's really not okay for a teacher to just be like, just try. Like if you guys don't try, you won't know. Like all you're gonna do is fall. Like you could hurt yourself really badly doing that. So I think teachers are like a whole another like topic of the different types of teachers you can get and the energy they give off. But rounding my conversation back, my observations generally from going to these classes is that I think I'm still in two minds as to whether I actually enjoy going. I don't think I like what some of these fitness studios represent. I don't live into this whole like exclusivity and like making other people feel kind of small for like not knowing things or being a part of it. But I do like the exercise part of it, and just the class and being able to learn in that environment. Because I think with like yoga, the alternative is to have like a one-on-one class, but it's like super expensive. So it's a really great environment to learn new things as a group. But yeah, I think I really wish that our like private fitness studios or classes were just a little bit more uplifting, and less like exclusive. But I don't think I'm going to be able to change that because that is part of the formula to these places making bango bucks. So much money. Wild. All right. So my peanut butter fact / brand of the week that I want to share with you guys is there is a really good almond butter. Okay, I'm just going a bit left of field here, and instead of giving you a peanut butter, I'm giving you an almond butter. But there's really good peanut butter called Justin's, and they actually make really good peanut butter, and they put a little bit like bee extract inside of it. It's really tasty. I will link it down the bottom for you guys to try, but that's my nut butter. Maybe I should call it nut butter. My nut butter of the week that I feel like you should try. Super tasty, really good. Give it a try. Keep it top of mind during this week. I was just gonna say, yeah. So I think all in all from this podcast, keep in mind, guys, the energy that you give off to others in a fitness studio. Put on a great smile and welcome those people in. You know, give a good energy. I think like we all contribute to what we give into like the places around us and where we participate and contribute to the space. So yeah, give a good energy. Don't make people feel left out, and don't feed into the exclusivity of some of these places. Be the point of difference. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will see you in the next podcast. Bye.